Okay, welcome. Today I wanted to share a little reflection about just connecting to feelings and certainly allowing our feelings to flow. And this is around the topic of healing trauma. Okay, so it's a lovely summer's day, and so I just wanted to come into the garden. I was just reflecting, just squeeze down about this, yeah, reading Pete Walker's book yesterday. This one here, Complex PTSD, and this idea around flowing with our emotions, flowing with our feelings, and it's certainly something that sometimes we can struggle with as boarding school, or someone who's been through trauma. Um, you know what Peter Levine talks about, this idea, certainly with anger, is that we can go from not feeling emotions and then suddenly exploding. And where we want to more move to is more like a river rather than a dam that suddenly is a lot of rainfall and boom, there's a burst, an explosion. And that was me for many years. Once a year maybe, when I was younger, I used to just explode from time to time. Not necessarily at other people, but yeah, I just go into a kind of real angry. I'd run off and I'd go and sit in the park, or I'd scream, on my own. And yeah, eventually for me, that bottling up, it turned into self-harming, to not taking care of myself. And yeah, so for me, it's like, what's coming up for me in this moment is, through some of my videos, through some of my work, someone has taken offense to something that I've put out there. And on one level, it hurts. And it's like to feel that, to give that space, to allow the river to flow. In the past, I might have tried to justify myself. I might have tried to, I might have given up. And it comes back to what Pete Walker talks about, the idea with the fawn. Let's say I have a lot of qualities of the fawn, the people pleasing, wanting people to like me, doing everything. Oh, my parents, they want me to go to university. Great, I'll go to university. Go and work in London. That's what you're meant to do, rather than what I wanted, what was inside of me. And I feel often if we have that fawn, so if we've got the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, the fawn is the people pleaser, letting people walk all over us. Essentially, we say, I have no needs. And often in boarding school, that keeps us safe. And I see that that's certainly a part of me, that I have the fawn there. And so, yeah, these last few days, it's feeling that sadness. And what Judith Herman talks about in her book, Trauma and Recovery, is the 3 stages of recovery. First stage is safety. We create a safe space. Safe space, that might be with a therapist. It might be in a community of women or men, like a men's circle, like the Mankind Project, or like I did, living in a monastery, or you create that safe container with a therapist. And the second stage is that mourning. Can we mourn? And at the beginning it can feel overwhelming, especially if we have that dam. And that's why it's useful to have a therapist, just to guide us, to hold that space, to, because as Robert Moore talks about in The Art of Initiation, the archetype of initiation is sometimes we can go into that second stage and we can get lost there. We can get lost in that grief process. And it's important that we come out. And the third stage, Judith Herman's model, is returning to the world with our gift, the same in the archetype of initiation. We return with our boon, Joseph Campbell. But we've got to go through the second stage. And sometimes the realization with, for me, boarding school is that, or childhood trauma, is that it was painful. And we need to give that space just to grieve, to allow the tears. And then what happens is, it's like these last few days, feeling I've offended someone, to give myself that space to just feel it. Let the river flow so it doesn't build up, it doesn't become sickness, it doesn't become mental illness. I just flow. So I connect with my emotion. This is what I feel in the moment. I messed up, maybe. It's like feeling that, and it hurts. That's how it feels to have hurt someone else. And we then grieve. We allow that emotion to flow. And, I wanted to read just a little bit from the end of Pete Walker's book. And he just says, kind of in relating to that, it says, moreover, when we learn to effectively grieve through our present day hurts, we quite naturally move back into loving feelings. As our emotional flexibility matures, lost feelings of love and forgiveness return so reliably that they can become consciously chosen values. So it's like, yeah, we feel that. We feel what we feel. It's like, okay, I feel maybe someone said something hurtful to me. It's like, I feel that. I process that. Give the space. It might be in meditation. You just sit. You see that person in front of you. Just feel that. You give your body as the unconscious mind the space to feel. This is what it feels like. This hurts. This is what hurt feels like. Often we don't do that as ex-boarders. We keep busy. We're, as traumatized people, we're workaholics because we don't want to give ourselves the space to feel these things. But what happens? We get sick. Our relationships fall apart. We have a breakdown because we've been working too hard. So it's really important for us just to slow down, to feel what we feel. And I'm okay. Breathing in. And I love what Thich Nhat Hanh says. And I use this a lot. It's like breathing in. These feelings have arisen in me. Breathing out. I'm taking good care of these feelings. Breathing in. These feelings have arisen in me. Breathing out. I'm taking good care of these feelings. And you might find, as Pete Walker says, this inner critic comes up. As you start to feel your emotions going, don't do that. That was the part that kept us safe, especially if you were at boarding school. And I had that for years. And what I eventually learned is, I imagined instead of that critical voice, just my father holding me, or a benevolent male presence, and imagining I was the little boy and there was this big man around me, just holding me, just not saying anything, just giving me that space. It might be for you, it might be your mother or a female figure, but just to hold that I'm safe to feel these feelings. We've been so shamed for feeling more, but we need to mourn. Our work is to start to, especially if we've been at boarding school, start to move those tears through from that reservoir, to let it flow, whether you do that in a men's circle, whether you do that through your own process work, through meditation, just doing what I'm saying. I've used dream work, matrix re-imprinting, EFT. It's like really connecting, flowing. This is what I feel. This is what I feel. Breathing in, I'm taking good care of this feeling. Breathing out. It's alright. Breathing in, grief has arisen. Breathing out, taking good care of this feeling. And the same attention you'd give that small child, to give him or her the space to cry. And then you realize that, they really get into the tears, you get into that feeling. And then 2 minutes later, they return to play. They've had that space. At boarding school, when a lot of us were shown, no, you can't cry. And therefore we hold on to it, and it builds and it builds and builds. So as he says, when we can effectively grieve through present day hurts, that's where we're moving to. And for me, on my model of the trauma healing model, it's stage 3 is like that ability to, grieve. It's like through present day hurts. We've mourned the past, which is stage 2. And stage 3 is like being in joy, And when things challenging comes up, things come up, we breathe, we feel them, and then we let them flow again. Stage one is we deny, we feel these things, and we stay stuck. Whereas actually it's to allow it to flow, moving the body. So, yeah, I hope this has been of help. Let's see if I've got any. Just really recommend that you connect with that, feel into that. But yeah, whatever you're doing amazing. If you're listening to this, it's like you're doing amazing. It takes time. I think that was what I was reading in Judith Herman and also Christine Jack's book, Recovering Boarding School Trauma Narratives. It's the idea that it's an ongoing process, guys. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And that's what we do. And then we come up against challenges, and we keep going, and we keep going. So, okay, many blessings. Take care.